lightly, this building looks like it's just dropped into the site. Very lightly, the building touches the site in about, I forget how many piers that we have. But going back one slide, you can see the elevator and stair tower that goes up 35 feet and lands and goes to a bridge that, hang on, that goes over to the house. The bridge is about 50 feet long. We didn't want to do any more construction, any more foundation construction for it. So the bridge is simply two trusses that serve as rails and span the distance. And you can tell a little bit that the walking surface is, it looks like you can look right through it and you can. It's just a kind of a close steel mesh, so the snow falls through and you don't have to be digging snow all winter. But the whole goal here was to maintain trees close into the site. You know, you're really in the treetops, and the owner just loves being in the treetops. If he's still alive, the building was done 25 years ago. We took a somewhat similar approach with the Reinholz residence in Beaver Creek. Here, the road is up here, and the site dropped very precipitously down from the road. So we carved into the hill up here to create a parking area and also an area where we could take equipment and dig trenches for these stone piers. It's a similar concept in the house is spanning these foundational elements instead of going in and digging the hell out of the site. Here's a closer view of those piers. So those are a couple of examples of what I'm talking about when I say tread lightly. Okay, if it's ugly, bury it. This is a home, well, I'm very privileged. The people at Martis Camp, I don't know if any of you know about Martis Camp. It's near Lake Tahoe, near Truckee, that area. And it's the most conscientious group of developers I've ever worked with. They also happen to be old friends from Vail who are now in California. But they paid 3 architects, myself, an Aspen architect by the name of Tim Hagman, and a very pretentious architect from California, I forget his name. But they paid us each to pick a site in Martis Camp. This is before any houses were built. Pick a site and design a home for it. The goal being that they did not want to be prescriptive with their guidelines and say that you must have 30% stone and a maximum earthquake of 812, and so many of the things that you see in design guidelines. And I just pushed that button by mistake. Okay. So I picked a site that was quite flat, really hard winds from the west, and golf course views to the east. Now what I did do with this site is, again, dig down a little bit to create a parking area. You never see cars when you go up and down the street. They're hidden behind a retaining wall. And I'm going to go back for a second. Over here at the garage, there's this sloping shed roof. The shed roof at the eave is the same grade as the site. And basically, I just brought the site right over the create an earth-sheltered roof. This is a side elevation of the garage over here, and the grade just goes right up over the roof. And from the road, this is nice. What you see, this is where we start up over the garage, and the earthen roof is a very linear line that covers the entire house except for the master bedroom, which is in a separate wing. But what you see is no cars, and what you see is just a continuation of the site really go right over the roof, and a very linear scheme. I will point out, you may have noticed the one palm tree at Lake Tahoe. This is a client I've done a lot of work with, and I'll always throw something into his drawings that hopefully he won't see, and hopefully the people he's selling to will see.
I see a palm tree.
That's it. With a coconut falling out. But anyway, moving on. You're going to see in the upper right-hand corner Powderhorn Golf Club, and it's this Powderhorn. There is a prominent hill on the golf course near the first tee that Scotty and I determined would be a good location for a clubhouse. It overlooks the golf course. And what I tried to do here pointing too well. The site generally slopes along here. We opened up the site, slid the building into the slot, and brought the site over the building again. So again, the same kind of natural development that nature, the same kind of nature is not development, that you see all over the golf course and all over Powderhorn. You also see as a roof of the clubhouse. This elevation happens to be the entry elevation, but I think this best describes. We had skylight over the entire dining and pro shop to bring natural light in. But that's, unfortunately, the owner's wife did think it was ugly, and we ought to bury it, or at least bury the idea of it. And also about that time, they were turning 18 holes into 27, and a whole different site was selected. I was not selected, but Dan was to develop this facility. Dan and I worked together, by the way, on this. And then one of the results is what you see. Which is beautiful. Okay, the next topic is connecting, okay, let's get to this creating nature or supplementing nature. This is one big house that's up above Beaver Creek. You enter obviously where you see, the lower part of the slide. You come up one level to the living, and if you look really hard, you can see building all the way up there. That's the kids' area. So this building, number one, is huge, and number two, does step up the hill. And this is what I was talking about creating nature, or at least giving nature a helping hand. This is at the living room level on top of the garage. If you recall, the garage has a flat roof. And the living level walks right out onto a very private outdoor living space that goes beyond, actually goes beyond the bridge here. And it's one of the more successful outdoor spaces that I've worked on. This is also in Beaver Creek. The owners are very interesting people. They are both international lawyers. To have dinner with these people gives you a headache because their minds are whirling so fast. They are very brilliant people. And Barry, the gentleman, I'm sure has read more books on architecture than I have. They live in Beverly Hills. They have a really cool, sleek steel and glass hanging off of a cliff kind of home in Beverly Hills, way up on top. They wanted the antithesis of that when they came to the mountains. And they said that, the antithesis to them, number one, meant a log home, and it meant several other things too. So what we did, rather than give them just stone and logs, we gave them boulders. This is one rock, this is one rock, this is one rock. And you'll see this throughout the house. And rather than give them the normal 10-inch logs, we use 16 and 18-inch logs. I mean, you know you're in the mountains. You know you're not in Beverly Hills because just of the sheer scale of the materials. This, again, the living level is one level up. This, again, is above the garage. And you step up a couple feet to the kitchen, and the kitchen opens onto this outdoor space. And this is something that I'm very proud of. On the north, the house is U-shaped, and the U faces north. And why would put developed outdoor space on the north? Well, if I know a lot of you are hikers and climbers and so on, and areas that get no sun at all grow beautiful ferns and different kinds of landscaping than you see in more open areas. You got areas that are just loaded with trees and the sun doesn't get there. So this really worked. I'm very proud of this because it was a guess as to whether or not it would work, but you can see some of the things that are growing naturally. They extended them. They improved on it, but I can't tell you how many different species of things are in this north-facing interior courtyard, which the dining room looks into. The dining room is right here, and there's a glass hallway that goes back to bedrooms, and they look into it. And actually, part of the living room looks into it. But it was a very successful experiment in a different kind of landscaping than you typically do in the mountains. I mentioned that we didn't give them, we did ask them for an unlimited budget on masonry. And actually, Gerald Gallegos, a dear friend of mine of Gallegos Masonry, and I went down to, what's the name of the town? Anyway, more central Colorado, where you can find these kinds of boulders. The mantelpiece is more than 10 feet wide. And we literally had to use cranes to lift these boulders into place. And here I am, the architect, doing the arm waving, telling the operator of the crane, and and so I nearly got hit with several rocks. But like I say, we wanted to emphasize the ruggedness of a mountain home compared to their Beverly Hills steel and glass. Views, by the way, of Beaver Creek Ski Mountain are there. Okay, these logs again are not the normal 10-inch that we might use, and rather than just cut them off straight, this is an opening that goes up to, I'm sorry, we're standing up, they go down to the living room, but you know, they're cut at irregular lengths, and it just looks, a lot of the home looks handmade, a lot of the home, you know, like I say, you feel like you're 4 feet tall when you're in there, simply because of the scale of the elements. This I brought because there's a good story behind it. This is the lady of the home did not want a glass door. The door is literally just one piece of glass with no frame, and then we fabricated the strap hinges, found an old closure system, but she wanted a solid door with an eye hole that she could look out of to see who's there before she opens the door. So you can barely see it. That is her fire. And she has a sense of humor. This is an important home to me. It was done for a very good friend of mine on a low budget in an area called Singletree. The road is right over here. We brought the grade up to hide a retaining wall, to hide the cars, so that going up and down the road you're not seeing cars. We elevated the living level one level up. We were able to look right over the garage to a pond across the street and to Beaver Creek ski area across the highway. We used very standard materials in unstandard ways in order to get some real architectural interest into what was a low-level home. The back of the home is an extension out. The area here is a master bedroom. It's a combination of panel wall and a real glass. There's a slider that opens. And this right here was, and still is, an irrigation ditch that feeds the water for the golf course in the development. Again, we talked to the golf course maintenance people and said if we can take have as much water at the end of this stream as comes into the stream, may we develop it into a babbling brook, making a little bit of water noise for the master bedroom. And he said yes, lovely. So we worked with a very talented landscape architect, Glenn Ellison, and we were able to develop a site amenity out of what was really a site problem, and that was an engineered man-made ditch that just brought water to the water retention area. I mentioned that we use standard materials in unstandard ways. The walls of the main living areas are the old, plywood, basically. We shellacked plywood with a coat of shellac and exposed all the structure. this dining room light fixture is a couple of pieces of old metal window jamb, and went to Walmart and bought a plastic gridded bottom for it so the light comes out. And so these are the kinds of things that we did with this house to make it affordable and livable. It's one of my favorites. Contours. I showed this slide, the contour. The contours on the right side obviously are sloping this way. In the middle, they're going pretty much vertical to the screen. Over here on the left side, they start pointing the other way, which gave us the opportunity to do what we do a lot of times just to create interest in buildings, which is to juxtapose forms of the building. Well, we literally follow the contours to tell us where things should be pointed. Beautiful views across the valley to Beaver Creek ski area and Arrowhead. But this plan shows you the master bedroom pointed one way, the main living room pointed straight down, the guest area pointed this way. There were panoramic views, by the way, all along. The really cool element that I don't have a good photograph of, I apologize, but the site is just a very rolling hills, sage-covered site. It did have a natural water drainage area up here. What we did is take that right under the entry, which is right here, number one. The entry is literally a bridge, interior bridge, and the water course. As people approach the house, they see the water course, they see it going under them, they go in the house, and all of a sudden there it is again, and it is naturally fed. When there's water, and for several years there was no water, we do cheat a little and recirculate water, and there's no natural water. This is a bridge before we get to the bridge I was talking about, the entry, and the house does have another side to it too, which is this. Fun house, nice people. This didn't get built, but I wanted to show the model anyway. And if I do this one more time. The site is approached from here. This is the garage. You come through an entry element, and this reverse C is a glass greenhouse. So glass floor to ceiling and a glass sloping top. We opened up the circle to create a C and let the landscaping flow right into this reverse C. So when you come in, you're looking at the landscaping here, you're looking across it at, looking through the glass of the greenhouse at the living space beyond. And this little thing right here is the circulation for the house. Master bedroom over here, guest above the garage, but then you also take a wing over here. This is the kids' wing, and it would have been special, but didn't get built. But it's just another way to supplement nature, bring nature into the living space instead of just around the living space. This one you're supposed to ooh and ah about. This is my house in Austin. I was telling a story last night. I wanted a limestone home. I called some friends in Austin and said, give me the name of a couple of masons, good masons in Austin, to talk about the difference in cost between stone with what's called a Fredericksburg smear finish, where about half of it is mortar and half of it is stone. I'd like to know the difference in cost between that and stucco. And if I had to, I would just make it a stucco house. And the first one I called said, well, you know, Jimmy, stucco is going to be a little more expensive, maybe not a lot more, but a little more than the stone. And I said, now, are you sure you understand what I'm asking? And he said, yep. Well, I called the second mason, and he said the same thing. And the truth of the matter is, all of the hill country in central Texas is built on limestone. You may only have to go 2 feet deep to find it, but central Texas will never run out of limestone. They had very cheap labor at the time. This house was built in 2000. And it was Karen's and my get the hell out of winter in Vail home, where we would come down and spend weeks at a time. This is this is that wall that we were just looking at. This very interesting wall that goes up and down and becomes a chimney and becomes a privacy wall. But anyway, this is to show how you come in, and then there is an entry courtyard that goes to the front door. Here's the front door. These are our western looking, they look west for sunsets. So we have a couple of rockers out in the entry courtyard. Go through the door to the living room and just keep on going through the living room to an outdoor courtyard that is surrounded by living room, dining room, kitchen, master bedroom. They all open onto this very private outdoor space, and this is pretty much our living and dining room when the weather permits. And then it's enclosed on the fourth side by a privacy wall. This is looking back. This is the this is the master bedroom that comes out onto the terrace. So we've created a well-protected piece of, quote, nature, unquote. The site had not much going for it in the way of views or anything else, and just on the street. Here we are helping nature. This one, in terms of either helping or creating nature, is another of my favorites, where it's in a big open area, and right along here there's a cliff, or not a cliff, but a serious drop of about 10 feet. And when you walk on the site, there is no question where the house should go as you go riding along that 10-foot drop. And that's where the house, in fact, we just strung the house along. This is the entry. All of the red sandstone, by the way, was excavated right on the site when we were excavating the house. Look what we found, and so we used it. The house basically is 3 components connected. We're into natural light now.
Is it?
This is, I believe, the 3rd home that was built in Beaver Creek, and it doesn't resemble at all what Beaver Creek was after. but I fought the good fight and was able to get the house built. They're after a more standard, traditional kind of thing. But, it's a house that I did for a fellow from Mexico City. Very quick story about this. He built a 6,000 square foot home for himself. One of his competitors from Mexico City bought the lot next door, built a 6,500 square foot home, and called it just a vacation home. Well, and then he went down valley a little bit in Beaver Creek and built a 20,000 square foot home for himself. Well, my client couldn't take that, so I ended up doing a 23,000 square foot home for my client in Mexico City. Actually, the fellow who built the guest home here and the 20,000 square footer is in jail. He was president of, what is it, Petco, or, yeah, Petroleum Company of Mexico. Anyway, we'll get back to architecture. And I have some good news. Levi has offered to advance the slides. So I've got one button. That one button is the laser button. And I put this in the natural light category because right back here at the back of the house is the next slide, Levi. As you've noticed, it's a sloping site, very severely sloping site. We don't have flatlands. This greenhouse construction is at the dining room and kitchen. If you can imagine standing here and looking straight out, you'd be looking at a bunch of tree trunks and dirt. So what I did do is do this greenhouse where you can actually look up into the treetops and appreciate the site for what it's worth, as opposed to simply looking at tree trunks. And this is the other side of the house. If you'll notice, there is a skylight that goes all the way across, all the way down the hip, and all the way down the wall. The reason I did this is this house ended up being quite square in shape, and we wanted to bring light into the middle of that square, not just perimeter, not depend just on perimeter glazing. Next slide. This gives you some idea of the impact of the skylight. This back wall, it's not picking it up too well today, but there's a very interesting pattern of all of the structural elements in the skylight in this back wall. And it serves as a very nice backdrop for the mobile sculpture that hangs in the home. And there is no artificial lighting in this photograph, I can assure you. It's just a very nice, bright space. And next slide. This is just an ego slide to show what the living room looks like. That is that round form that you saw earlier, the fireplace. And I can't help myself when I deal with prescriptive, restrictive design guidelines. I've got to find ways to give them a little trick job. And this is one of those ways. In the guidelines, they said no neon lights outside the house. Well, as you approach the house, that vertical glass that I showed you at the end of the skylight, we hired a wonderful neon sculptor from Canada, actually, to do a neon sculpture, which you can see every night. I just put that. All right. Here's another way to deal with natural light. Before we get specifically to the natural light, these people really wanted a continuation of indoors and outdoors, and this is, all of these doors are at the living dining area, and they panelize and slide apart so that the flagstone flooring slides right into the living space. And when those doors disappear, it really is difficult to know when you're indoors and when you're outdoors. In terms of lighting, I went with a cow wall system, the full length of the living and the dining. I'm sorry, I took your job. But here you can see the cow wall, and it really makes for a nice, even glow of light, natural light. Cow wall, except for the fact that it used to turn yellow, I don't know how many of you have used it before, but they have improved it to a point where it doesn't turn yellow. And it kills a lot of shadows. Sometimes shadows are good, like on that big stone fireplace, but it just settles out the light very nicely. And here, next slide. This home is the second home we've done for the Beverly Hills clients. They've always been intrigued by the shaker ethic and shaker design concepts. I don't know what you know about shakers, but you better learn it pretty quickly because they don't believe in procreation. And so their numbers are dwindling. But a very seriously religious group, they make beautiful shaker furniture, chair legs that are just gently tapered. They're very unadorned, simple pieces. We visited a shaker community in Massachusetts and saw, one of the really cool things we saw was this big round stone barn, and the cattle kind of walked around in circles, and there was a loft above where they brought the hay in and tossed the hay down to feed the cattle. And so we do have the round barn form. What I try to do is a little microcosm of a shaker community. In the back left is how the Shakers built their homes. This was that shaker element I talked about of the round form. This was just a barn shape where the garage is and utility room and so on. Next slide. This is how you walk into the home. These wooden doors really do close. When they're not in residence, they do close and lock to conceal the glass door that is right there. And it shows, again, the house, the barn, and the big stone element, round element. I'm sorry, I took your job again. Go ahead to the next slide. Is that the next slide? Okay, yes it is. What we did do was carve a big piece of pie out of the circle to expose views up to the Beaver Creek ski area and Beaver Creek Village. It's in Beaver Creek and very near the village. And we tried to design the home as if it was made by Shaker-minded people, maybe in the 1930s or 40s, where the elements are handmade, not machine-produced. And I'll show you some examples of that in a moment. Next slide. This is the living room and the fireplace. And you begin to see, where the view window is, a piece of pine. Next slide. This is about a third of a level down from the living room, and you look at this from the living room. This is the kitchen where we did design and have fabricated the kitchen hood and all the pipe work for it. You can barely see two ropes that support the dining room light. These ropes are on a pulley system so they can lower it and light the candles and then bring it back up. The kitchen is made out of a lot of concrete, custom-made cabinetry, open shelving, just very long through rods that support the open shelving. And next slide is the next house. Here again, I used the old greenhouse approach, but this is at Mrs. Buckman's bathroom counter where she does her makeup and gives her very natural light that she really enjoys in this area. This is another home in Beaver Creek. Interesting client. Bob Buckman owns an international chemical company, and he has kids spread all over the world working for him, his own kids. And we were interviewing for the job. We were standing on the site, in fact, and I said, Bob, you're from Memphis, Tennessee. You have this international company. Why are we standing in Beaver Creek talking about building a home? And he said, I've interviewed 3 other architects, and you're the first architect who's asked me that question. Why am I doing this? And it turns out that he wanted a place where he could bring all the family together, at least for certain holidays, and be in one place. I suggested a central living room with bedrooms opening off of it, both sides, so that the family was forced to cross each other and at least say good morning and Merry Christmas. And it turned out to be a real success for the Buckman family. And it was done on a pad of paper. The concept, Todd and I have been talking about this, but it was done on a pad of paper, or the concept of that intermingling of the family. So it's not a kid's wing over there and a master over there to keep them separate. Everybody is together successfully. Next slide. This is Buckman's fireplace. We're talking about it's kind of an artificial way of bringing man and nature together, but it's the living room. It's the end of that long spine. You're sitting there. You see nothing but fire and nature, and it works. Next slide. Okay. Now, this, I don't know, I've had a lot of favorites, but this is one more. This is in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. The site drove the design of the project very much, as it should be. The site is a 5-acre site. About 100 feet into the site from the road. It's almost like someone drew a line, and there is a very intensive stand of aspen trees. You go through the aspen trees. The driveway is just a winding lane through the driveway, through the aspen trees, maybe 150 feet of aspen trees. And I'm going to come back to this slide, but I'm also going to advance. This is this walkway coming back to now. This is starting to show the architecture of the home. Again, it is elements of old buildings tied together with a very shallow shed metal roof, which you can see. And I'm proud to say we use Wyoming stone, Kemmerer stone. Is anybody here from Kemmerer? Or at least used Kemmerer stone, but we did. And this is where this walkway, which I will give you some information about in a minute, but comes back to the home. Next slide. This is the entry element. You eventually arrive here, and the entry is here, which I've got a closer picture in a moment. You can see the transparency of the living room that looks out to the aspen trees. By the way, I should mention, somebody drew another line at this edge of the aspen trees, and all of a sudden here is the home. You don't know the home's even there for the first couple hundred feet. But the living room is very transparent, so it gives views out one way to the Grand Tetons and the ski village at Jackson. Looks out the other way at the aspen stand. Next slide. Yeah, this is the entry door. Doesn't show well here. It's a beautiful copper door. A fellow by the name of Wayne Brugard near Boulder, Colorado, designed it. But here we are approaching the home. This particular gable form is the living dining kitchen. Next slide. Okay, again, man and nature. We rather than just do a patio, we try to do sort of an outdoor room, if you would. So it's enclosed on 3 sides by the building, and you sit out here with a fireplace. They sit out here in the middle of winter, sometimes building a fire and to stay warm and enjoy the view. Next slide. This is it. This is the outdoor room, and Richard Tetons. But a very successful thing. Again, this thing, you walk through the entry door, you go 12 feet, glass opens up, and there you are in the outdoor room. Next slide. I haven't told Karen this yet, but this is where she and I may be sleeping in a couple of nights. It's a bridge out to an outdoor covered sleeping area. We have nice weather here. Again, ultimate connection of man and nature. Next slide. Okay, this slide I wanted to show you for fun. Alan, the husband of the group, really wanted a log cabin. They live in North Carolina, and when they come to Wyoming, he wanted a log house. That's a pretty big cabin. His wife insisted otherwise, and we know who won that. But what I did do is send the contractor's people out to find the weirdest looking log they could find. And we call this Alan's totem log.
So it is a log structure.
So it is a log structure. That is a structural log. Next slide. Okay. This is a a preface to that walk that I showed you a minute ago. A good part of this site is wetlands. We talked to the Corps of Engineers and, well, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. The house is, it's a wood frame crawl space house. We were getting a lot of water in the crawl space. We drew the water out of the crawl space, stored it here, and fed it back into the wetlands. The Corps of Engineers saw River Heroes and allowed us to do, next slide. Well, I'm sorry, go back, please. Allowed us to do that walk, and I'm going to go back to it. I'll do it, Levi. With that bridge, whoops, that meanders through the trees, goes out to the other edge of the aspen trees, and if you look very closely, you can see its share. It goes to a patio out here. And there are views in the other direction. Does anyone know about, I think it's called the Sleeping Indian Mountain Form?
Sleeping.
Okay, I'm seeing a few people nod yes. Is that what it's called? All right, good. All right. But anyway, they did allow us to, if our posts were only a certain distance apart, they allowed us to do this walkway out to a patio that enjoys the views in that direction. So, Levi, well, okay, go ahead, we'll go to the next. Okay, there you go. Now, Dan, we're finally getting to the project that you asked me to talk about. This is the Gerald Ford Amphitheater. It's in Ford Park in Vail. It's been my pride and joy. I cannot tell you how satisfying it is to sit there during a concert and watch all your friends and 2,000 other people enjoy a musical performance or a dance performance or whatever. This is one that falls into that last category of looking beyond yourself. And the reason it falls into that category is, if you look up here, this is softball diamond, soccer field, rugby field, and you can't tell from the photograph, but boom, it drops quickly from here down, just about at the angle that you want to sit on grass and enjoy a picnic and a concert. We had to modify the grade a little bit. And you cannot tell from this slide, but you will in a few moments. What I tried to do is abstract this thing as a piece of architecture, abstract it into the park setting. As you move around the perimeter of this building, of this facility, there's a large building here and a large building here. They are burned up to a point where you can see a little bit at the top of the wall, but you're not walking along a 15-foot high wall. You're walking along a burned, landscaped setting. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, again, I wanted to keep things simply stated and very abstracted, but this is the entry into the amphitheater, the main entry. Next slide. And this is the other entry. There's a parking lot back here behind me that a lot of people park and they come down and they enter this way. that's a sign, believe it or not, it says you're all our Ford amphitheater. But this is how you come into the amphitheater from that direction. Next slide. Oh, what can I say? We've done 3 phases of this building. The first phase was $1.75 million, including all of the landscape all the landscape elements. It's the performance stage itself. It's 1,100 seats and grass seating area also. And I mentioned that it belongs in that look beyond yourself because of the hillside. This grass seating is hillside, but then it keeps going, and we amplify the berm even more. We can have music and rugby players can scream, and it all pretty much works. Next slide. This was about the 3rd phase where we enlarged the number of fixed seats and actually tore all the roofs off and started again to cover more seats, for one thing. The 2nd phase was kind of a comical phase, but Betty Ford's hair got wet at a concert, and she wanted to start filling in all of the open spaces. But we opened it back up again, luckily. And I will say that we do have glass in these open spaces. And we improved the sight lines. Did a lot of work on phase 3, but stage and seating around it. We designed it such that these trusses support the 4 roofs that cover the seating area with the structure exposed. And then from the structure, we suspended the stage roof. So it looks like it's kind of hovering over the stage. Next slide. One thing that I'll point out here, I could have earlier, but in fact, let's go back one slide. Okay. This whole area here is backdrop for the stage, and it's not constructed. It is landscaped beautifully with spruce trees and so on, but again, gives a very natural feeling for the amphitheater. Okay, this is just a recap before I open for Q&A session. The 6 principles we talked about were tread lightly, if you recall. If it's ugly, bury it. Create and supplement nature. Contours are our friends. Natural light is good, and look beyond yourself when you look beyond just your project and what impact surroundings have on your project, what impact your project has on surroundings, and fit within the context. So, I promised that this would not be a philosophical discussion, but I do want to re-emphasize one thing, and it's so simple. It's not mind-breaking, but I must emphasize again that we only have one Earth, we only have one Rocky Mountain West. When we and our future generations are through, hopefully we haven't destroyed it. So, in addition to the normal responsibilities that architects assume in projects, and those responsibilities are considerable, all of you and all of the architects of the Rocky Mountain West share a common special responsibility, and we must accept it. I don't think we have a choice. We must maintain this special place. If our clients don't understand what we're, you know, why we just don't do it cheaper and worse, we need to bring them along with us. We try to explain that we want to honor or improve, or indeed improve, our setting. When I see that less than 5% of the buildings in this country are designed by architects, and only a percentage of those buildings are architecture, I get what we call in Texas a case of the red ass. So we know that development's going to happen. We're architects. We need to direct that development. To be a part of just the natural setting. One thing I'm proud to say is I could have had a much easier practice than I had, but I did what I call fighting the good fight in terms of what so many areas wanted me to do architecturally and what I ended up doing architecturally. It was nose to nose with a lot of people, but most of the time I won. And I just hope that all of you either have or develop that same passion.